Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the full council meeting on Wednesday, the 26th of June at 5 o'clock. This meeting is hybrid, and we do have participants joining the meeting remotely. The meeting is being streamed live and stored for later viewing. I can suspend the webcast if I consider that it will affect proceedings. A recording of the meeting will be published on the Council's YouTube channel. Any motions or amendments need to be moved and seconded as usual, and any votes will need to be by roll call as we do have members online. I will be flexible within reason in the length of time people can speak due to circumstances. I'll now move to the agenda. Item 1. Are there any apologies for absence?
Thanks, Provost. We have apologies from Councillor Edlin and Councillor McLean.
I've been communicated apologies for Councillors MacDonald and Ireland as well. Councillor Cornbury.
And could I also include apologies from Councillor MacDonald?
Sure.
Item 2. Are there any declarations of interest on any of the items before us this evening, colleagues? Nobody indicating, so there are none. Item 3, minutes of meeting held on the 24th of April, that's in pages 3 to 12. The minute is submitted for approval, and there will be no discussion or questions on the minutes except on their accuracy. Can we agree the minute? Agreed, everybody. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. Moving on to item 4. There is a list of meetings for the period of 25th of April 2024 to the 25th of June. So the full council on the 24th has already been agreed. Moving down to the list, and if I'm too quick, please stop me and I will go back. I'll just do it in threes. The Cabinet of the 25th of April, Appointments Committee 29th April, Audit and Scrutiny 9th May. Thank you. Licensing Committee of the 14th of May, Cabinet 30th of May, Appointments Committee 30th of May. Thank you. Local Review Body 5th of June, Education Committee the 6th of June, Licensing Committee of the 11th of June. Agreed? And the last one there is the Cabinet Police and Fire of the 13th of June. Agreed? The following items are subject of the supplementary agenda, and there are 3. Cabinet of the 20th of June, Audit and Scrutiny of the 20th of June, and Appeals Committee meeting of the 21st of June. Agreed? Thank you very much, colleagues. Item 5, statements by conveners and representatives of joint boards and committees. I understand there are none. Moving on to item 6, Provost engagements, pages 13 to 14, simply for noting. Item 7, General Fund Capital Programme, pages 15 to 36. Margaret McCrossan, Head of Accountancy, Chief Financial Officer, and other members of the Corporate Management team are in attendance if there are any questions. Are there any questions, colleagues? Councillor Morrison.
Thank you very much, Provost. With regards page 17 under the Property Schools heading, it's to follow up on an issue which has been brought up in the Chamber previously for the extension to Crookford Primary School. So my understanding is that that's considered no longer required due to revised projections. I simply wanted to ask what the basis of those projections are and how far forward they look.
Thank you very much. The Director of Education is here to answer your question. Thank you very much, Mr Ratt.
Thank you, Provost, and thank you, Councillor Morrison. Yeah, this has obviously been, I think it's raised a couple of times at full council meetings. As you know, we look very closely at the latest data on an ongoing basis. There were unfortunate delays in terms of the costs associated with extending the school. The school's operating currently has 17 classrooms and 2 general purpose rooms, and all of those 19 spaces are being used in the current year. However, since the last time that we updated this, we now obviously have the P1 numbers for next year, and it's going to be 49 primary 1 children that are coming into the school, and that's the key number that we look at coming through. That means that next year they will need 18 spaces. Now, the school is still very busy, and we're engaging at the moment in terms of other spaces, outdoor areas and so on, that we could look to improve using the developer contributions. But in terms of the other part of your question, we also know how many children are currently in 4-year-olds, that are in our nurseries, and the 3-year-olds they've also registered. So we're able to look at the 3-year-olds, the 4-year-olds, and we also use, I got into trouble this last time when I called it the CHI data, which is the Community Health Index data, the NHS number. We're also matching it with that. So we look at those 3 sets of data, so we're able to look at least 2 years ahead. And at the moment, our anticipation is that we won't need that extension, and in terms of that best value, that wouldn't be good for the council. However, until we've got really that sort of slightly longer 3 to 5 year trend, we've kept it in the capital plan to make sure that we can respond to any potential changes. So I hope that is helpful.
It is helpful, a supplementary if that's possible.
Yes, before you do though, Mr Ratter, for anyone watching the video who might not understand what a CHI number is, if you could explain what that is, please, and then I'll hand over to Councillor Morrison.
Yes, Provost, it's the Community Health Index. It's the NHS number. It's a unique identifier to each member of the public.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Councillor Morrison.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that response, Mr Ratter, and I accept what you're saying, and of course I think everyone would agree that seeking best value is what we should be doing. The key word in the report here is potentially. So I would ask, if the projections change in the future, how quickly would we be able to move on proceeding with constructing an extension? Thank you.
In terms of moving on that extension, we've obviously already got designs that are there. We would be able to go out to tender very quickly at that point, and then it normally takes, well, it can take at least 12 months from that period, and that's why we were using at least 2 to 3 years worth of data rather than base it on a single year, which could just be a fluctuation.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Caroline. Councillor Bamforth.
Thank you, Provost. Can I just ask, page 18, the Mayor's Castle High School extension, it says work in the current financial year is now limited to internal alterations and fees. I just wondered why we're limited. Is that because it's put back to next year, or are we not doing as much work as we intended? Thank you.
Mr Ratter.
No, Councillor Bamforth, the plan was always to do some internal works for August 24 for that intake, and then we know that there's a further increase required for August 25, so that's when we're looking to do the additional work, and that's the way it was set up in the capital plan.
Are there any other questions, Councillor Morrison?
Yeah, thank you, Provost. I didn't want to do the questions back to back in case there was anyone else. The next question.
Actually, I would rather, if you had any questions, rather than me coming back to colleagues, I would rather you do it in a winner. Thanks.
Fair enough. Noted for future. On page 18, property other, with reference to the Country Park Visitor Centre and associated infrastructure at Ors Road. So I appreciate the report saying there that there will be a delay in terms of the visitor centre. May I ask, is there a delay in the resulting roadworks, and are we still on schedule for getting Ors Road reopened as originally advertised? Thank you.
Mrs Macaulay, if you could answer that question, please.
At present, we're working on the assumption that the road will be delivered on time, and there's no indication that there will be delays with that. There may be delays with some of the active travel route, but the road, we are planning that will be complete by the end of this year and open in the new year.
Very welcome news. Thank you.
If there are no more questions on this paper, can we agree the recommendations which are on page 15? Agreed? Thank you very much. Moving on to item 8, Housing Capital Programme, is on pages 37 to 46. Margaret McCrossan, Head of Accountancy and Chief Financial Officer, and other members of the corporate management team are in attendance if there are any questions. Are there any questions, colleagues?
Yeah, thank you. The question, Provost, is with regards to page 39 and the grant support for new homes. It was to ask the head of accountancy what that means in real terms, in terms of the cut for our grant funding for council homes. Thank you.
Thank you. Trina's going to answer this. Mrs Macaulay, thank you.
Thank you, Provost, and thank you for the question. I just wanted to clarify that the grant award from the Scottish Government is to support the social housing investment programme, so it's not just to support council projects, and there are other social housing landlords that are part of that social housing programme that's known as the SHIP. So BHA are our biggest local registered social landlord. So we work in the SHIP on a planning assumption of around £7.3 million is received each year, and we've now had it confirmed by the Scottish Government that for this year the East Renfrewshire allocation would be £5.486 million, and that represents a reduction of £1.8 million. I would go on to clarify that no project has been knocked out of the SHIP as a result of that reduction of funding. All projects will continue to be worked on, and they are all at varying stages of development, including site surveys, planning, design, and those projects that the council are leading on are made up of a cocktail of funding, so it's not wholly dependent on the Scottish Government grant. It's also dependent on developer contributions that we receive through planning, and also on borrowing that we pay back with the rents that we receive. So all changes to the new build programme, that will be reported through our SHIP programme, which comes to Cabinet in October. So yeah, that answers the question.
Thank you, Provost. I'm delighted to hear that there's no loss of projects, and I'll leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions on the paper? Okay, thank you. So can we agree the recommendations? Thank you. And now on to item 9, Housing Revenue Account, Land Transfer and Lease for City Deal Funded Balgary Station, pages 47 to 52. And again, the officers are here to answer any questions. Are there any questions on this? No questions? Can we agree the report? Agreed. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Item 10. Change to Scheme of Administration, Appeals Committee membership, pages 53 to 54. The Chief Executive is in attendance if there are any questions. Are there any questions? No questions. Can we agree the report? Thank you very much. So, as this is the final meeting of the Council for this period, I'd like to thank all of my colleagues and the officers for their hard work, and I wish everybody a happy and relaxing summer. This concludes the business for today, and I now declare the meeting closed. Thank you for your attendance. Thank you.